So here's the thing, sometimes like there's a political campaign called No Labels, and it's supposed to be about, let's not say liberal or conservative anymore. And I was thinking about labels, and I was thinking about Jesus, who says, who do people say that I am? And so it is kind of labels. It's prophet, and it's John the Baptist come back from the dead. Who do you say that I am? We label, we identify, we define people by a label. And so I was thinking of Governor Brown, who just refuses to release 9,600 inmates to alleviate overcrowding, because he would say, I'm not going to release even one violent criminal. Well, there's a label. And it made me think back to when I was at Folsom Prison as a chaplain, and I taught 3 sections of this American short fiction class. I had 60 students. Every single one was a lifer. Every single one had taken a life. And there wasn't a single murderer of the 60 who took my class. We think these labels kind of define and identify who we are, and no one inside this room or outside of it would want to be identified by the single worst thing you've done. You could say, you're a bank robber. Well, no. Once I robbed a bank, and I regret that I did, but you don't define people by the worst thing they ever did. Back in the early days, the nice cops at Hollenbeck Division would say of me, oh, poor Father Greg, he's so naive. If only he knew gang members like we do. And of course I knew that was sort of preposterous as a proposition, because there wasn't anybody at Hollenbeck that knew those gang members better than I did. I knew their backstory, I knew their mom, I knew what they struggled with, I knew what traumas they had endured. The day would never come when somebody at Hollenbeck would know these guys better than me. But because they identified them by single acts, single moments, or by the worst things they had done. And that's when you get into trouble. That's when you get into untruth. And so if the principal of your kid's school called you this morning, and your 3rd grade son had gotten into trouble and you had to go over there right now, you would know that nobody on the planet Earth knows your kid better than you. You know his moods, you know what pisses him off, you know what makes him anxious. Nobody on the planet knows your kid better than you. But then you walk in and the principal says, yeah, well, you think you know your kid? Did you know that just right now he pulled the hair of, Pafnuncia Garcia, who sits in front of him in class, And you would say, no, actually I didn't know that. But has that changed anything? No. Nobody knows your kid better than you. There's a fullness of knowledge and the fullness of identity, and there's a fullness of who somebody is. We don't want to define anybody by the worst thing they've done. So you look at behavior, and it's not really behavior, it's language. It's telling you something. So somebody walks into our office and he's belligerent and hostile and threatening, and he's kind of a jerk. In fact, the bumper sticker was probably written for him, the one that says, Jesus loves you, everyone else thinks you're an asshole, And you say, who is that guy? And you would say, well, he's a jerk. He said, no, he's a question whose answer is compassion. Or her over there, she's poison, she's toxic, she's always talking behind people's back, she's always stirring things up. Who is she? Well, she's poison. No. She is a question whose answer is always going to be compassion. So no labels. So today let's focus on that. Let's not define people by anything except for the complex picture that they are. Nobody in this room or outside of it would want to be defined by a single moment or the worst things we've ever done. So let's presume today that the answer to every question is compassion.